Happy Friday, everyone. I'm Warnie, coach of the War Dogs, and this is Drew Jones.
Coach of the Mountain Goats doesn't have Max home. I've avoided a bullet. I've done it.
I thought you were going to fill out your 22 with that one last night.
Unbelievable. I can't believe this week of carnage. It's got to be the worst ever. This has got to be the worst ever week.
It's ridiculous, even to the point of backlines there too. I wonder if it's actually been a point where you could have filled out a 6 with these in a week of defender injuries, just about, adding to that, or your Laird. Well, actually, over the last 2 weeks, you would have done, wouldn't you? You've got Holmesy, you had Whitfield out last week, and then you hit up the ones from this week. It was Amon, Laird. Who else have we got?
Dale.
Dale. Like, it's just a ridiculous week of fantasy football, and to be copying it like this right now when the haves and have-nots of the fantasy world, the teams that are completed / the ones that might still have those couple of rookies on field, have possibly got even more on field this week.
Do we think that I've got this sense that it's been a really hard week for good teams.
Yeah.
I reckon Dale, I reckon Laird in particular have been players that have been traded in by good teams who have completed their teams sooner. Like, that's just the sense that I've got. And yeah, I mean, obviously we've all copped butters,
yep,
pretty much. And we can wear that one together. But geez, like Horn Francis as well. I feel like good teams have Horny,
yep,
who's been a really good pick for the last 6 to 8 weeks. It's so brutal. And I've copped it all year, and we all have in certain ways. But yeah, like my mate who's in the top 100, he's had 5 this week, and
wow,
he traded in home. So,
that is so brutal. So brutal. Oh, well, that is the storyline out of last night that we saw there, old Maxi Holmes. So, 69 points he scored when he went down with, well, initially there was talks of knee, but it looks like it's an ankle, so a bit of Cindy for him, but it looks like it's, one that is going to have him out, so it is a forced trade as we hit up these last 5 rounds after this week of the season. So, yeah, there's your one in the first game. We've already got our premium player to trade out, but the Mountain Goats don't, but a lot of the rest of us do, so he is actually super popular. He's what's he in? He's in 40% of teams overall, but if you're looking at the top teams, he's in 90% of the top 1%, so he is super popular. And anyway, he's going to be the first one. Hopefully we don't cop any more. But yeah, out of that, he was the big injury. We also saw that Manor was injured with a hammy too. So, I don't think too many have got him, but he has been in some good form for those people that might be rocking with him in draft. Big scores though. We did see Rowan Marshall, as predicted by Calvinator, make him his number 1 captain choice for this week, 139. So if you did the VC, you are taking that every day of the week. Did sit on 144, but I don't know how closely you watch the stats of games and at quarter breaks and half time where you see, oh yeah, that's their score, and then they start again and they've lost a couple of points. I feel like Rowan Marshall dropped points each quarter.
Well, that's because he was scoring them at such a rapid rate.
Yeah, they couldn't keep up.
if anyone could afford to lose, it was him. Hey, he was. So, he set a record last night, the most contested possessions by a St Kilda player ever.
That's ridiculous. So, he had 33 touches in that and 2 goals. Like, just nuts numbers.
Yeah, it was an incredible night. 14 kicks, 19 handballs, 4 marks, 2 tackles, a couple of free kicks, 30 hit-outs, 2 goals, and a behind. He was always going to have a big night, even if Blitzards had have played.
Yeah.
But there's no doubt that I think Blitzards would have shaved probably 20 points off that score. Edwards just cannot restrict. He's a good tap ruckman, obviously he's young, but Marshall was always going to have a massive night. It just shows. Imagine if Marshall is doing that for Geelong next year, and there's a few clubs that are interested, and who knows if the Saints will let him go. He's under contract, but geez, he's an absolute beast. TDK, just have another week, mate.
Yeah,
just chill on the sidelines. Those ribs, they're not ready.
this is going to be the story now this week, isn't it? Just to see that this is possibly the week that he is back. So it's going to be an interesting thing too. Like, we're probably not going to have the luxury to be able to move him out anyway, but a lot of us, we might. It's hard to trade someone out after they scored 139. Imagine if you did have that luxury and you're going, yep, TDK's back, I'm going to have to move Marshall. So that would be ridiculous. But hey, the form.
All I was going to say here is that these performances from Marshall, they can't be ignored, even for Ross, even for Robert Harvey, who's running the midfield. Like, when they sit down and have match committee, they have to look at it and go, all right, maybe we can do this mix with TDK a little bit differently.
Yeah,
he was an absolute beast last night, and so maybe TDK does more CDAs, but Marshall is a bit more present around the ground, and maybe that's a way that they can make it work with both. And I think they've looked better as a side when Marshall has been more involved, has felt like he's more in the game. I'm sure there's a way they can make it work, and we're praying for it as fantasy coaches.
He's a target up forward too. Like, obviously he kicked a couple of goals, but he did take a couple of marks up there too, leading out. So there's everything about him. His game is good. 21 points fewer was Bailey Smith. So if you went there as your VC, you're going to take that one. That was, a solid score for him. You were sort of maybe hoping for a little bit more, but he was, excellent. So take that score if you've got that. But then we saw a few players that maybe get on our radar a little bit as players to pick up. So Brian Myers, 103, he scored. So that was his first game back in. Kicked 3 snags to go with 22 touches and 7 marks. So a pretty nice stat line for him to get the ton. Darcy Wilson, who has just popped some nice scores this year too. He had a bit of a role in the midfield with 112 for him. Max Hall's been good, 101. Hugo Garcia, he might be one to... I've seen it in the Patreon chat actually. Black book him for next year. He's got a bit of a fantasy game there with his 31 disposals and a pretty decent midfield role too. Like, he had 23 centre bounces and kicked a goal in that as well. Other storylines, we've got Brad Hill was a popular trading target, 88, so he did that in the end. He had a pretty low start. He had 7 points in the first quarter, so 25, 24, 32, and it was probably a little bit role related. But also, it's Geelong. Like, if you went into that expecting another big ton like he's been doing, like, you might have been dreaming a little bit, because he still was able to do his thing and was behind the ball enough anyway. I think we saw him up the field, but that was probably more the state of the game.
The big disappointment last night was Wilkie. So
yeah,
and there was iterations of my trades this week where Wilkie was in, but I felt like I didn't want to lock in. I didn't want to lock him in on Thursday night, and that was just a personal choice for my team with a few moving parts. But one of the reasons where I thought he might score well, even though it was it's like sort of the graveyard going to GMHBA, is that Geelong's inside 50 count when they play at home is plus 18 to every other venue that they play in. So it's guaranteed basically that they're going to get like 65 looks at going inside 50. And to me, that sort of said, well, that means that Wilkie gets 65 looks at intercepting the ball.
Yeah.
Like, all he has to do is take 5 of those 65 as intercept marks, and there's 5 plus 6s, and then you throw in everything else that he normally would get. I don't know how much you watched of last night. Wilkie got a bath by first gamer. Polkinghorne took him to the cleaners, and I don't think Wilkie was ready for that.
And he looked frustrated too, didn't he? Like, at times,
he had a dirty night. Yeah, a really dirty night.
Yeah, well, Polkinghorne is a story there as well. Kicked 2 goals and, should get a run at it now with Jeremy Cameron out as well. So he scored, 70. So he could be a downgrade option for your forward bench, where that might be a bit light on for some coaches as well, if you need to be looking in that way. And if you get to a position where you might be able to make some form of a downgrade on a bench, I don't know if that's ever going to be possible for the rest of this season. That's almost where we're at, isn't it? So, but otherwise, that game... Nasir is probably the other big talking point. He did cop the Mullen tag and was restricted to 76. He did have a 30-point last quarter, so you take that. But, that was sort of always flagged and on the horizon for that to be happening. All right, let's get stuck into the teams, and we'll start with Friday night footy. A few changes here for the Swans up against the Crows. They've got Roses, McDonald, Campbell and Riley Bass in. They have omitted 4 players, Cleary, Hamling, Hannelly and Kyle. And then the Crows have lost Rory Laird through his injury, so that's an ankle for him. Taylor Walker's been managed. Isaac Cummings back in, but we also have Hugo Hall-Kahan back in, who may be as important as any player being named in this week.
He's our saviour, and it's a revenge game too.
Oh, yes.
I think we should go in with relatively modest expectations. I don't think we should. It's a bit like, a player going to GMHBA. I don't think you can expect a player going to the SCG is necessarily going to score you, massive numbers. But he's a warm body on field. And with Laird not playing, there is a world where Hugo does get a bit of extra ball in hand. So let's hope that he can do a job for us. We're all in the same boat. We're all playing him. So it probably doesn't really, honestly, it probably doesn't really matter what he scores. But yeah, hopefully, I picked him up in draft a few weeks ago as another handy sort of bench midfield defender option. So hopefully he can pop a score for us with Laird out.
Yep, and in this game, probably one of the big talking points and questions is Isaac Rankin, who is at a good price at the moment and has a nice run after this week. And I know Roy's getting him regardless, but is he the one that cops the James Jordan tag, or do you think he goes to Jordan Dawson? Where do you sit on this one? Because I think it could be a bit of a coin toss. What's the GOAT's thoughts?
Interesting one, isn't it? Just feels like Rankin's a bit more taggable. If you were sitting down at match committee and you were going to say, all right, Jordan Dawson is extremely hard to stop. The Western Bulldogs tried a lockdown tag on Jordan Dawson about 4 weeks ago, maybe 4 or 5 weeks ago, and Dawson had 15 and kicked 2 goals in the first quarter.
Yep.
So sometimes Dawson is best stopped with a team approach and an arm across at stoppage. Whereas Rankin, can be shut down and has been susceptible to the hard tag. So percentages would say James Jordan is probably the second best tagger in the league. The smart move is to go to Rankin. I think I'd be more in favour of the Rankin move in Supercoach because of the limited trade.
Yeah.
And you're locking in that really good run to come. It's ballsy to go Rankin this week. When you could just get him next week. But I guess Roy's just thinking, well,
just it's
all well and good to say get him next week, but what if there's 3, more forced trades in your back line? And I understand. I totally understand that perspective.
Yeah. Let's move to Saturday. Port Adelaide and Fremantle are playing at Adelaide Oval. 5 changes for Port with Balin O'Brien possibly he is making his debut because this is what we've got. Oh, Bob, love it. Zato, Toddy Marshall, Marias, Zirk Thatcher are the ins. They're outs, of course, Zach Butters, who will miss probably the rest of the season, does want to come back for round 24, but that doesn't help us in fantasy. Horn Francis suspension for a week could be a hold depending on how many issues you've got and what cover you've got there. Lakosh is out injured, as is Georgiadis, and Jacob Ware has been omitted. Shea Bolton has been managed for Freo, so we might see a little bit of this from the Dockers with Hayden Young back into the team. So, yeah, I guess from this, who's going to get are there any midfielders that might get some bonus points or whatever for Port, because they are essentially missing 2 of their best this week, or 3 if you wanted to add Rosie to it because he's been gone for the whole season basically. But do we see anything there that's worth even looking at? It might just be a little bit of a draft play.
Poor old Port Adelaide. They're missing all of their good players. Georgiadis isn't playing either.
Exactly. Yeah.
I'm just trying to work out how Jack Watkins hasn't got a game this week because he's sitting on my bench just that week that you need a bit of cover. Where is he? I think it's because he's best mates with Zach Butters, and the only reason I got him to the club was to try and keep Zach. So now that Zach's gone, poor old Jack Watkins has been thrown on the rubbish pile. It's a hard one, isn't it? Could they use Bergman as a midfielder this week? I think Willem Drew probably has a good week draft-wise, if you could pick him up as a midfielder if he's available in your league. He's captain this week. Feels like he'll probably get pretty heavy midfield minutes.
Yep.
Probably Joe Richards again. He's probably already been picked up in your league. Ollie Wines, yeah. But to be honest, it's got a pretty nasty kind of feel to it, this game. I think Port Adelaide have been really competitive this year.
Yeah.
There's a world where they've probably got 2 or 3 or 4 more wins. But this feels a bridge too far with all those good players not playing. It could be like someone like Tracy could have a pretty big day. Amos could kick 5 or 6. I'd be looking at Freo players. Can you top up, your last forward spot with a Freo guy or something like that?
Yeah, well, I'm actually bringing in Caleb Sarong because of the cash that I've got in my team for my second trade. So I'm hoping he can fill his boots this week and make up. I don't love it. I really don't love it, but that's where my dollars are at, unfortunately. So,
okay. At the end of this podcast, let's discuss the midfielders that are in your orbit.
Right, okay. Well, they're going down like flies anyway, so I may not have many options. North Melbourne are playing Melbourne at Marvel Stadium, 4:15. Josh Gota is back in. Bailey Scott as well. Zach Banch is out injured, as well as Blue Myers after that concussion last week there. Aidan Johnson omitted along with Bailey Laurie for the Ds, and Bailey Fritsch is back in. And then, Max Heath is in to be a bit of a dual ruck with our man X, with our man Max, because he's up against X this week, who was pretty bloody good. Him and Cameron going head-to-head last week, both scoring well, and it was a big, almost dinosaur old-school ruck battle it was.
Yeah, the 2 blokes that can't jump. They would have been relieved to be going against each other. It's not a surprise to see Heath in, because they're coming up against Tristan Sherry, but also I think there's a world where now Heath hangs around a bit to just lighten the load a bit for Max coming into September. I think, it's we're pretty certain that Melbourne are going to be potentially a top 6 side. And so if they can get Max in peak condition, they put themselves in with a chance of really being a contender this season, which is an absolutely incredible situation for Melbourne. Perhaps it's not ideal for us, because it probably shaves a bit off what Max is capable of as the sole ruck. But I think that's just a reality. And to be honest, there isn't a knockout ruck pick for it, is there, really? So, I think you just have to just cop it on the chin, basically. What's our line for the Fitz Magic this week? Are we expecting another ton?
Oh, well, could be all right against North Melbourne, but he's another one. Talk about Hugo Hawker-Hahn or whatever. He's another one that might just end up being the M8 for this week and even a couple of weeks later as he's going. But he was excellent last week. I think that's the thing we can see from him. He's got all different parts of his game too that he was able to racket. He even spent some time, on the run with Taranto last week. So maybe that could be something we see this week if he does try to do something, just because he's got that bigger, older man body that could be running through there in that midfield. So I don't know what we see with tags. Does Shees cop anything, or is it most likely LDU as he is the target?
I think if it was Fitzgerald was going to do a job, I think he'd be more suited to an LDU at stoppage. Sheasel, just that running power, I'm not sure that Fitzmagic would be able to go with him. But I think Sheasel would have been a safe captaincy option, but I think so many people would have VC'd, either Baz or Rowan Marshall, that I'm not sure that
you're not worth taking, right? Yeah,
need it. Yeah.
Should be a big one from Shees. And, that game there, I guess it's just ticking along with what we do. Hopefully Max can be okay. Saturday night, there's a couple of games on with Collingwood and Carlton, the traditional rivals, 7:35 at the MCG. And Charlie West, Harvey Harrison, Isaac Quainer come in. And a couple of injuries there for the Pies with Lockie Schultz and also Jeremy Howe. And that's sort of bounced around. I saw the GOAT tweeting yesterday saying, Howe, calf... What is he?
Yeah, it's a hip groin. That was extremely good sourcing by the GOATs, which was Jeremy Howe himself.
Right, excellent. Yeah.
Who, when we arrived, they were training out at a different location, and when we arrived, we got out of the car and bumped into Howie, who'd left the track, and he said, well, I'm not playing this week, boys, so I'm off to the gym. But yes, apologies. I incorrectly put that it was a calf, but it was a groin/hip. But that was fixed later in the day. But it's good for Houston owners. I'm not sure if you're aware of this stat, but when Jeremy Howe plays, he takes all the kick-ins and Houston loses them. So whoever's got Houston, it'll be an uptick this week, guaranteed.
Calvinator is there with that one. Jack Buller's the other player out for the Pies. He's been omitted. The Blues have got 3 changes with Ollie Hollins, Flynn Riley after coming in for his first game in the ruck last week has been omitted, and Jack Ison omitted. So they bring in Liam Reedy as their ruck now. So the Pitbull is still out with Blake Acres and Cooper Lord, who could be the interesting one there. Is Lord the man that goes to our man Nick Dacos?
Well, no one can go with Nick, let's be honest.
Does he try to go to Nick Dacos?
Yeah, it's definitely possible. I was surprised by the Ollie Hollins omission. I've got this. I wouldn't be surprised if Ollie Hollins is at a different footy club next year. I've just got this. It's got that feel about it. I think the saga with his brother. Unfortunately, I think it might be best for all parties. But Ollie has been playing really well in the VFL. I think it's a bit unusual that he's been omitted this week. That's a whole other thing. But I wouldn't be surprised to see Cooper have a go at it. And I am a big Cooper Lord fan, to be honest. I think he's good enough to be playing in the seniors every week. So hopefully he has a decent crack at it. We've all got Nick, and he's not going to have the captaincy. So whatever happens, happens.
Yep. Cooper Lord, I had him at the end of last year, and he did pop some nice scores as well,
right.
fantasy-wise.
Forward status?
He might have done. I can't remember now, but yeah, he was a member of the Dogs. So,
very good.
Yeah. Wonder what other random names could be members of the Warn Dogs towards the end of this year. It's going to be like that. Your West Coast Eagles are unchanged up against the Brisbane Lions. Is that 3 weeks in a row that they've been unchanged? Did I read a tweet about that?
I think that was a Mitch Woodcock at Sir Swamp Thing. It feels like it's, I reckon, before COVID since that has happened. It's been a long time. Not great for Josh Lindsay draft owners, but for everyone else, it's great.
Yep, James Tunstall's in for the Lions and Bruce Reville is out with personal reasons. So this game, well, what are we going to see? Some Lions going big, possibly against the Eagles. It is obviously in Perth, so that's the little thing that might change some stuff. But old mate Dane Zorko, the story there could be a little bit of fun if he is up against Milan Murdoch. They would be a fun little battle, I reckon.
I think they've both got a bit of mongrel in them. So I think that could be very interesting. One thing that Milan will need to prepare himself for is that Zorko's not just going to cop it.
No.
So it's going to be an interesting battle between those two. Milan is very, very good at what he does. He's a little pit bull, isn't he? And in some ways I feel a little... I almost feel a bit guilty for him that he's sort of now, he's kind of too good at it and he's sort of stuck in that role. Because I think he's a good footballer. He's an incredible runner, and his enthusiasm and his intensity around the contest is fantastic. So he's kind of a bit stuck in that role at the moment. So I feel for him that we don't get to see his full skill set. But I was going to throw this at you. So for this defensive slot that I want to fill, I've sort of had a look at Zorko in my team, but it feels probably too risky, doesn't it? I still think he'll probably score okay, but there is a world where Milan really shuts him down, isn't there?
I think I'd back in Zorko though in this game. I just feel like they've got enough because the Lions are just going to be so much better. I think that's the thing. Milan, anytime he's sort of got hold of anyone, I don't know if it's been against a massive team. That's the thing, like, when he had his crack at Archie Roberts, that's against the Bombers. He doesn't have much support there. So, and Zorko, he's a pig in himself. Like, he just loves the pill in his hands. So, I think I'd still back it in. But that's the thing. If your Eagles there, they'll be stoked with what they've been able to do in the mid-season draft and supplemental pickups and that sort of stuff along the way. Like Franco in the midfield, like you could still be playing him if you needed to because he does his thing. He gets behind the ball and you always spot him. That's a nice thing about a fantasy player when got a headband on and you can see him out there on the field. So they're looking all right. Will Ashcroft is probably the big name in this one of people bringing in. You'd just be happy to do it if you can.
I mean, he's been unreal the last 4 or 5 weeks. It's basically when Brisbane have flicked the switch, that Will was one of the guys who did it. So, and we know that as the season wears on, as we start to get closer to September, that's when he really
gets closer to norm time.
Yeah, it's when the norms start fucking jangling around his neck. I think he's now probably priced at a point where you're getting what you pay for, but there's also a chance that you could get a really big score this week. Instant gratification for that trade. I'd probably still lean towards Bontempelli this week because of the value, and probably just like the trusted, Bont. He rolls out you 110 every week, but the lure of a Will Ashcroft 150 is it's hard to ignore, isn't it?
Yep. Let's hit Sunday extended squads here, so make sure you check those out at 5 o'clock on the Friday afternoon to see those. Jasper Auger has been omitted, and Ben Miller is out with a heel issue. Bringing into the squad there, it's great to see Sammy Lawler back in. Jaden Short's also back there. Rioli, Steely Green and Harry Armstrong are into the squad as well. The Hawks, we heard this yesterday, and that was that Will Day would be managed for this game. But it is named up as a bit of a corked calf. So, if he was a target, don't pick him. But also, if he was someone that you've got in your side, that's a frustrating one to have as well. But hopefully it is just a one-weeker. Carl Amon is out with his knee, and so he'll miss a little bit of time. They may see debutants from Aidan Schubert and Max Beattie, but also into the squad a couple of pretty good names there in Josh Battle, Nick Watson and Josh Weddle. So definitely one to be looking at. But I'm not sure if we're picking anyone from either of these sides. Hawks should be pretty good, but they are a little bit of a worry. Roy was a little bit interested in Guinea.
Yeah, and I don't mind the Guinea pick. He's having a really good season. Hawks run home is good. And I think Guinea, I think Connor McDonald, both like budget options. I don't mind. They'd be definitely like massive pods. The other one is Sicily, who is incredibly cheap.
Yeah.
I reckon he's below 800.
Definitely, yeah.
He could get a massive score this week. MCG against the Tigers without Amon.
It's just he's gone 57, 63 in his last two, or 58 2 weeks before that. Yeah. I just can't buy that. I don't know if there's that little bit of history that I just go, no. He does let us down a little bit too, the old sick dog.
He's not the one. He hasn't got the potential 160s in him like he used to. Yeah, for sure. And that's an issue. If you were going to go a Hawk this week for the matchup and for the run, I think it would have to be. I don't hate Newcomb, and then either McDonald or Ginnivan. So Warnie, there is a world here where Jai Sarong is currently my emergency. Right. If he was to pop a really good score Friday Night Football, there's a world where I could do a trade in my forward line, which potentially could see me bring in like a Ginnivan or someone else, because I won't need to make a defensive trade. So there's some moving parts there. I haven't totally ruled out a move for a Hawk this week.
Well, I don't hate it either. Either him or McDonald, Guinea, or McDonald might be the play. Roy was keen on Guinea. I don't mind McDonald, to be honest. Like he's put up some decent scores this year. It's just been he had a 66 a fortnight ago down here in Launceston, but the other scores around that would be enough to make me go, yep, that's a tick, I think, and got that forward status, obviously could be a nice little winner for you if that's where you can move. So, but that all depends on a bit of Jai Sarong scoring all right, which could happen tonight. That could be the thing you do get out of Friday night football, that he can do his thing, because he does love the SCG when you look at his breakdown of numbers.
And also, if Jai Sarong scores well, it may allow me to trade out Sam Banks.
Oh, mate.
Which would feel good.
That would feel very good. I can't believe he's probably about D2 for me at the moment. That's about where I'm sitting. Gold Coast to play against the Bulldogs at home. They have managed Nick Holman, and Will Graham is out with a shoulder issue. Bringing into the squad, they've got potentially Caleb Lewis to debut, Sam Closey, Ballard, Ben Long and Daniel Rioli come in there. And for the Dogs, they've lost Bailey Dale through his shoulder injury, and then Luke Cleary has been omitted. Luke Kennedy omitted into the squad, so they get a couple of good names back there in Tim English, Riley Sanders, Oscar Baker's there, Nick Caulfield, Riley Garcia, and then Will Lewis as their 6 ins until they get trimmed. All right, this game here, I don't know what we're looking at with this one either. Bont is just really the target, the under $1 million. I think we've said it a few times this year. Anytime Bont's under $1 million, he feels like he's stayed around that value a little bit because of the way he's gone. But I think he's a pretty easy target. Suns give up points, so you should get a little bit of instant reward here.
Couldn't agree more. It always feels like a safe trade in against the Suns midfield. I don't mind Ed Richards. Yeah. I think he's probably a better Supercoach player, to be honest, than fantasy. Great in real life. And yeah, the Dogs midfield is an interesting spot. With Riley Sanders back this week, I'm interested to see whether they give Riley West any more time in the midfield. He could be potentially like a handy little pickup in draft because he's got the forward status. But I'm not sure if he gets the same.
I reckon that was just for the Sanders. Yep, that was my gut feel on that one, just sort of for that week or whatever that worked for. Now, here's
what
another.
Do you think? Yep. What do you think? Who gets Dale's points in defence? Is it Bramble, do we think?
Yeah, well, he's been the name that I've seen floated by a few people. Yeah, possibly. I reckon he could be the one there. You've got Caulfield back in. He's been named on the halfback, and we know that he has an ability to play that sort of role. It's interesting what they've done. Like, they're defenders as well. You know, they don't have Butterick in there. He would have been the type of player. And, we don't have Jacks there either. So, yeah, is it a Bramble, Caulfield? Does Baker do his swingman type thing that he often does?
Yeah, I mean, and then Bevo could get really funky. You know, who knows?
It could be Tim English, as far as we know.
Could be Cody Waitman. He could throw anyone back there, and you know that's why we love Bevo.
Genius. Now the question is, Christian Petrarca. I feel like he's been named on the half forward flank the last few weeks. He's been named in the guts. We don't read anything into this, but could he actually bounce back?
I think I'm with Roy. It's been the first time in a while where there's been pretty genuine discussion about his game. And Christian would be well aware of that. So I think we might see a different Petrarca this week. Maybe I'm just trying to talk myself into it, out of hope and desperation.
Well, we've got no choice than to play him, so...
Yeah, that's right. We just keep rolling him out. It would be a brave move to trade him.
Yeah.
And the evidence says that it would have been the correct move. But we're certainly not in a position this week to do it. So we have to roll out and hope for the best.
Last game of the round is Bombers and the Giants, 4:40 at Marvel Stadium. So Harry Jones has been omitted for the Dons with El Achka, Langford and Ridley into the squad, and Jackson Artemis in to make his debut, and he's been named on the wing. So the Giants have lost Phoenix Gothard through his shoulder. Big Briggsy is out as well after having a great score last week, I think it was. Yep, he was good last week. That's right. It was against the Cats that he was pretty good, but he's out injured, and Harvey Thomas has been managed now into their squad. So Nick Madden comes in to be the ruck, but Lockie Whitfield is back after that concussion. Connor Stone, Grzeski, Angove, and Delana are into the squad. All right, this could be pretty ugly for the Dons. I'm actually interested in seeing. I've got Jacob Farrow, and with those ins there, with Ridley and even Artemis, who I know he's been named to the wing. I'm not sure if he might get a rest this week. It could be. We'll see what these look like at 5 o'clock. So that's just my little gut feel. I don't know if that's just as an owner going, I need you, or I'm trading you, or whatever sort of thing. But yeah, this could be a big game. But the Giants would be the targets. Like, are you happy to launch straight back into Whitfield if you didn't have him, if you traded him out, or if you were looking for that defender, would you do that?
Well, he's currently sitting in my site. Yep. I'm tossing up between Zorko and Whitfield. So currently I have Whitfield, but I'm open to all ideas. But I like the matchup that we're trading back into.
Yeah, you should be right. He's named on the wing, which is an interesting thing. So, but yep. Exactly. How much do we read into any of that? Then you've got a couple of players that you could go with. Toby Green. He's had that midfield clock and has that forward status that could be handy for some moves there if you were looking in that range. But, we might see some big ones. Clayton Oliver, this is set up for him, I think, to have a good game. Finn Callahan's not going to cop the attention that he does week to week, because can they go with him and let him, or he'll just do what he wants? A couple of players I'm really interested in seeing. Archie Roberts, who was back in last week, played a perfect role, just didn't score because that was the Bombers against the Lions. I reckon he could be a target for us. I think he gets down to, what does he get down to this week? I think he gets super cheap. He will be down low 800s next week.
Wow. So you reckon he could be a trading option for maybe Holmes?
Yeah, it might bank you a little bit of cash when you do it. So that might be a move.
Interesting. Yeah, and look, I even looked at him this week, how he looked in the team. Yeah. But I think with the break even, it's a risky game to play. But interesting, isn't it? And look, there's a few things out of this game that I'm interested in. I want to see what Artemis does and what role he plays. Intrigued to see, he certainly at VFL level looked like he had some fantasy game. I'm interested to see if that transitions into the AFL system.
For the mighty Tasmania Devils.
That's right. And I absolutely love Clayton Oliver as an option for Butters. I think he's had a tremendous season. He's gotten better as the year has gone on.
For sure.
And the Giants right now are in a really good space. He's carried a pretty heavy workload and carried it okay. I've been impressed with what Clayton Oliver's done. I think he's exceeded expectations. And interestingly, I'm not sure how much you've seen of the Giants the last couple of weeks. There's been times where they've moved Clary out of the centre bounce. Okay. And it hasn't affected his scoring. He's continued to impact the game, playing sort of half forward and then drifting into the midfield. But that has allowed them to put Jack Howe into the centre bounce, and Green's done a bit more, and they've sort of varied up that mix a little bit, and it hasn't affected his scoring, which is a real positive. Because I reckon previously when Clary's gone out of the CBAs, that's when he was scoring those 25s for a full game for Melbourne.
He could be a very fun pod to have for this game, let alone maybe for the run home as well. Could be a little bit of a different one. All right, your trades then, Whitfield or Zorko? I think I'd just go with Whitfield, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think that's probably where we'll land. And then if Jai Sarong tips in a pretty reasonable score, then I can sort of look at maybe moving on a Banks or doing something a bit more creative with the second trade. But, I'm interested to know what is your midfield price range? So you've got Sarong, but I just want to have a look at these options for you.
So it's basically 850 because I think Bont is my player that I definitely need to get. So it's actually a really awkward one because if I could, I'm 2K short of getting Rankin. I would have actually just gone with that move and got it done. I think just knowing that I could set myself up for next week, knowing that I don't have to make that move, because I think I'd like to make that move. So, yeah, it was Will Day for a fair bit, because Hawks have that nice draw, but because the draw is so nice, and this is probably one of these things about any resting and management, if their draw is too good, they might cop that little bit of a rest there. So I've sort of landed on Caleb Sarong, which I don't know. I just don't love it because I know what he can do. Like, he's just popped 60s and all of that. But he's coming off back-to-back tons. So, yeah, there's not a lot of players that I like around that range at all. I was even considering Sam Durham as well, and for some people he's a trade out option for them, but we need that rule of don't pick players from bad teams, and I think that's been where I've made some bad calls this year.
So Durham's off the table for you.
Yeah.
So there is Darcy Wilson would have been a good option at $860. What's the upper limit of cash?
So it's $850, like it's right on the dot of $850, and that's okay, where it would have been nice. So yeah, it's there's not a lot of players that I really want to go into. That's the worst
LDU, no. Steele, no.
Yeah, can't go back to Steele. That's a bit of a
no. Pendles, no.
I looked at Jake Bowie. He was good last week.
I was going to mention him before as a defensive.
He had that 129, but obviously against the Tigers. But he's been pretty.
I don't hate it. He's the guy back there. The only issue is that Salem's back playing minutes in the VFL. That's a slight flag.
I could, of course, I could go the Guinea type move as well if I wanted to, or McDonald. But yeah, I just feel like Sarong as a midfielder, like in a good team. Hopefully he's all good. The attention's gone to Brayshaw lately. Don't know.
Weirdly, I think Sarong may be the best option in that price range. Could I twist your arm with Tuke Miller?
Well, no. Is essentially it. I think it's the Suns factor. I don't know. I'm not going to call that a bad team, but they have been bad. But I just don't think I could do it.
Connor McDonald at $7.96.
Yeah, that's an option. He's jumped
if
out.
I know that this is not the way the world works, but if you take out that anomaly game where they got absolutely pounded by Melbourne, he only played 68% time on ground. Yeah, if you take that away, the scores are pretty reasonable. He did have a lull through the middle part of the season, didn't he? 47, 69, 68. Yeah, I think probably Sarong's. I think that's probably the way to go.
Yep. It's just a bit meh. It's not very exciting at all. But anyway, it is what
you might be. You might be walking into a big score this week. That's what you can hang.
And that's the hope, I guess. And because I'll have a luxury trade, I'll be able to move him out to a gun later on, won't I? That's exactly how this game works now. That's what we talk about, luxury trade season.
Maybe.
Drew, thank you very much, mate. Thanks for the early wake up to get this done. I'm off to the theatre for some dance competitions today, so the Dance Dad action is on. And yes, the last one though for this week, which is nice because it's been a big stint with the big demon up on stage in front of the crowds and loving a work up there.
All right. Well, good luck being Dance Dad. I like where your head's at. I personally don't have any ambition to be a dance dad as it stands. With Max, I hope that I'll be a cricket dad or a footy dad. It's my plan at the moment. But no, I'm sure it's going to be a cracking day. And let's hope for a bit of luck because we're due it.
Right. Max Holmes, you're the last of these forced trades for us, and not for the goats though, because that's where you can be sitting back a little smug. I can't believe you've got the luxury of maybe moving on Sam Banks this week. Geez, you're in a good spot with the mountain goats there.
Oh, it's about time.
Legend, thanks mate. Talk to you soon.
Ciao.